Hello, team, and welcome to another ATP Geopolitics video with myself, Jonathan MS Pearce. This is Ukraine. No, it's not. I just went into auto. This is a live stream with Greg and myself. I don't know what I'm doing. I am at sixes and sevens. Welcome to myself and Greg talk about our experiences and how things are and what's going on. How are you, Greg?
I'm doing great, brother. Nice to see you. And I think when the stream's over, I'll come give you a hug.
Oh, it's been a long evening actually, where I've done more walking in tonight than I've done, I think, the whole stretch of this time I've been away. Because we've done a lot of car driving, but I was trying to go and buy some tat in shops, like Ukraine stuff, and when it's kind of 9:30 at night, like expecting places to be open is not going to happen. So anyway, can I just show you? I haven't shown Greg this yet. I'm going to open my can of apple cider and I'm going to pour it into this mug. And this mug is a great mug. I'm glad I found this. It says, Russian warship, go F yourself. Like in the design of the trident. If people remember from the beginning of the war, when the guy was standing on Snake Island and put his finger up, or basically, so the picture is, but he said to the warship, "Go F yourself." So this was in the shop. I was like, I didn't. Pierre got it up. He's like, "Do you want this?" I mean, you looked at it. I was like, "Yeah, it's a nice enough mug." And then the woman's like, "What does this actually mean?" What did she said? Russian warship. Go yourself. I was like, yep, I'll be buying that one.
Johnny, you're full bore Ukraine now. You've got it.
Damn straight. So we're on the final leg of the tour of duty, so to speak, and it's been an incredibly enlightening experience. I've really enjoyed the time I have spent with the three guys in the battle bus. Pierre in the back with me in the English quarter, at the back, where we've been admiring the scenery by taking lots of photos out the window and getting a lot of blurred photography, I'm sure. And the two in the front being the legendary people they are, getting us from A to B with incredible success rates. I've been counting so far. We've got to every single place we're intended to get with 100% accuracy.
Yeah, nice. we've got a really good guy there, Zhenya, taking care of us as far as all the connections and getting all that done, and it's a big help. In fact, I see Zhenya in the chat here. Today is Zhenya's birthday, everybody. He is 49 years young, and we celebrated his birthday tonight with a very special dinner. And what was cool about that was we were able to be with Rick the Ukrainian, Johnny Pearce, myself, Pierre. We also had two other heroes there, Anton and Galina. And you had a viewer who watches you come by and shake your hand. And of course, Zhenya was there, and we celebrated his birthday. And yes, on the last night, Johnny Pearce got cake Napoleon.
Yeah, I was given a list of certain things to eat while I was out here, and cake Napoleon was one of them. And it was delicious. It's sort of like a half cheesecake. It was lovely, and really enjoyed that. Had a lovely meal with everyone. We needed to have sung. I felt sorry for Zhenya. He was so busy, even eating a meal. He's like 27 phone calls, like eat a mouthful, take a phone call, eat a mouthful, take a phone call. He's a machine.
He's actually at his in-laws right now because they are forcing him to come over so they can celebrate his birthday. If you don't mind, Johnny, let me just hit this real quick. So it's like happy birthday, Zhenya, from Susie Q, Chris, Shine Off, Steffi. Sorry, guys, I don't have my glasses on. It's like Conto, KZK, happy birthday from Brazil. Is Pierre also a YouTuber? No, Pierre's half homeless and half amazing. Armand, I know you hear me.
All amazing.
He's all amazing. Tito Valenzuela, happy Valentine's Day to all. I know Tito's down there in Honduras. So big birthday shout outs to you tonight, Zhenya. So thank you, buddy. I know you're over there watching.
Yeah, and I just felt we should have sung him happy birthday, and I don't think we did.
Well, we can do it now.
Okay.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday Day
to
to
you.
you. Happy
Happy
birthday,
birthday, dear.
dear Zhenya.
Happy
Happy
birthday
birthday to
to
you.
you.
That's beautiful. That was beautiful. Even if I say so myself. No,
Yes,
he deserves every
he
plaudit,
does.
every awesomeness and congratulations he gets. Uh, so it's
Mhm,
at present I am in one of the main capital cities of the region, and I am in a quite historic, in many ways, in more ways than one, quite historic hotel, which has stories to tell.
mhm.
And it's
Listen,
been
you're secure here. You're leaving in a few hours for your train. Guys, we're not going to tell you the exact name. You know what city we're in. We're in the capital of Ukraine, but we are staying, and you can figure it out yourself, or Johnny can tell you when he gets home. He's staying in the one of the key hotels tonight on the last night. That's extremely important to the beginning of the Maidan events of 2014. So really good. I'm just happy he's able to see it.
And what would be I mean, do you know what? One day I would love it. If this can easily happen, actually, I'm sure, Craig. But we need to get Zhenya on. Zhenya has anecdotes and stories coming
Hmm.
out of every single pore of his body. So he's got stories to tell, and he was involved in Maidan. There's a great documentary on Netflix called Winter on Fire, I think, about the
Hmm.
Maidan revolution. Really worth seeing. And Pierre was saying, "I bet you're actually on that." And Jenny was like, "I could be." He hasn't watched
Hmm.
it yet. He's like, "I've been meaning to watch it, but I haven't watched it." And
Well, if you
he
remember, if sorry, but on this one, if you remember Maidan and the news all in 2014 there, and all the Ukrainians running around, they had on like the fake. I mean, they were not battle helmets; they were just wearing plastic construction hats and all of this stuff. And you saw the medics running around in the white shirts. They were just people. And Zhenya was one of those medics running around in the white shirt saving people's lives.
Yeah. So he will no doubt have stories to tell, and the hotel that we're staying in, was heavily involved, as were all the places around here, of course, in that whole set of events, and I think it probably evoked some memories for him, probably quite challenging memories as well, as I would understand it. So yeah, just I guess that was a it was an interesting way to bring this whole experience to a close in coming sort of, I guess, full circle
Yeah.
in a sort of narrative sense. So, Greg, what are your thoughts about the last, I guess, 10 days or something?
Hmm.
In what you think we've achieved? What about today? Today's been mainly a traveling day. Um, but we did have a great experience at at this place.
Yes.
I've got lots of photos, but this is the only one I have from my phone. Actually, everything else is on different cameras. So, do you want to explain what's going on here
Yeah.
and what?
So what we have there, it's called the Armenian Patch Palace. That's what I've nicknamed it. And this is a location in the very center of Ukraine, really, really in the very center somewhere, that is a gateway for soldiers who are going to the front. And the owners of this place are Armenian Ukrainians. They're Ukrainian, but they're Armenian. And they are the most wonderful people. In fact, today, this is the gentleman's wife there in the yellow. And we were unsure if the older gentleman was going to be able to make it because he was in the hospital getting some testing and getting some stuff done. And I was talking to his wife. She goes, "He's in the hospital." I said, "No, Johnny's got a meeting." And then she came back to me and says, "He's on the way." And he came and we had a wonderful time. Johnny was able to present that place a patch from the UK, great UK, right, Johnny?
Yeah,
From
yeah,
the
absolutely.
okay, from the UK, and experience it. Soldiers coming and going. Soldiers are fed for free. They get coffee, they get tea, they get cookies, and then they're on their way. It's the gateway to the east and the gateway to the south. If you go back on my channel about 1 month ago, you will find it. and I have a video on it, and you can see it. It's thousands of patches. When I first started going there were just early in the war, just maybe 100, couple hundred patches, and now, Johnny, you saw it today, thousands and thousands. So I've got
Incredible.
multiple patches in there. Yeah.
And what's great, I mean, this is why it's great to have someone like Genya with us, that he's walking us around these patches saying, that's from that unit, that's from this unit. Oh, I'm not sure what that one is, but it's got this, so it could be that. And he's reading the stuff to us. And there's just some great sort of anecdotes to do with each of the ones. One of my favorite patches. So they're not all like definitely military unit patches. You get, like I just provided, a Union flag, right? So there are all sorts of different kind of patches. But one was something like, you fight. I can't. I'm not even gonna. I need to think about this. But
come on, JP, you wrote it down. It was that important for you.
That I wrote something else down. My memory's just failed me because of that.
Language is your best weapon.
Yes, it's something like that. It's something like language is your weapon or something. And I was like, that's my patch. He said, failing over language. That's hilarious. There's an irony there, isn't it? But I was like, yeah, that's the kind of patch I'd want. And there was another one that read something like, it's effing terrible here, but at least I'm with good people, or something like that.
Yeah, it was something like that.
Yeah, there are various patches that are all to do with the war in general, as well as many unit patches that each have their own significance. So,
well, I can tell you one thing. And I was talking to the old man when he came. He's my buddy, and we were just talking, and I told him, I said, and I told Johnny standing there, I said, there will come a day in the future that the ground you're standing on, Johnny, will be a historical marker. It will be a place of extreme significance to the history of Ukraine. And you're here today when it's happening. So very special. You were asking me, what do I take away from the 10 days? I just want you guys to know that Johnny's a hero. And I know he's going to say, no, the guys that we were with are heroes, and that's the truth. But him coming, I mean, even Rick came up to me tonight and goes, man, like, I highly respect Johnny because he's here. I don't want to call it a disability, Johnny.
What it is.
It is, I don't know, and he says, I have the utmost respect for him. And I do. So out of the 10 days, I will tell you this. Of course, Johnny Pearce and I are now lifelong friends and family members with Jania and Pierre. When you experience war together, you're brothers forever together. In fact, I know where Johnny lives.
Really does.
Yeah, I really do. And he knows where I live. So I'm going to be knocking on his door somewhere in the UK and at some point. But, we were talking with Johnny's partner today, and he married way over or partnered way over his head. She's a beautiful, beautiful lady and a wonderful lady. And then Johnny's talking to my wife, to my mom, to my dad. What I take away from this is we've really figured out that, starting with Prof. Gertis, starting with King Raccoon, then going to Johnny, who gave me the first shot, and then going to Prof. Gertis, and then going to Rick, and now going to others. All these things are coming together. We really see that it's just, for Johnny, an aligning of the planets, and for me, a divine connection.
Yeah, it's good momentum, and some great crossover of audiences, and joined together by a unified project here, where we are all morally aligned with what's going on, and want to do something positive about it. And so that's what this is all about. That's what I sometimes have reflective moments. I've had them before coming out here, during, and no doubt will do afterwards, which is like, what am I doing? What am I doing here? And sometimes when I'm like stumbling around, it's just out then with Pierre, like stumbling around where I've got to a point where I can barely walk, right? And all these shops are closed because it's bloody 9:45 or something. And
Well,
I'm
the
like,
bottom line is everybody here in Ukraine thought he was drunk for 10 days, but the
yeah,
fact
yeah,
is he wasn't at all. He's just stumbling around and we keep him upright.
it's stumbling around, and Pierre's offering me his arm, and I'm like, mate, what am I doing here? Like, what am I doing here? Stumbling around at 9:45 in the middle of Kyiv looking for a patch, like, or whatever. I don't even know what I'm looking for. I'm just going to buy some tap. So like I have these moments where like I don't know what I'm doing here, and then I have these other moments of clarity, which is about you guys as an audience, but my audience, but Greg's as well, and all in this together, and the wider world. And sometimes I get delusions of grandeur. By that I mean I'm trying to do something about accuracy and truth and representing that to the wider audience, and I get frustrated when the Russian government is paying for troll farms where they're literally jobs of hundreds and hundreds of people to sit there all day, every day in different time zones, like smashing out Russian propaganda and trying to interfere with our democratic elections and trying to sow insidious narratives around the world. And here we are, like disparate bunches of people. There's no joined up project from any of our governments in the same way that they're doing that. We're not fighting back in that way. So it's kind of left up to us to pick up the pieces and try and hit people with some truth. And that's what I see this is about. This is all part of that project of giving me greater like understanding and information to be able to deliver that to people out there, to not try and sell people disinformation and lies, and also misinformation, like accidental wrong information. I don't want to present things as more rosy than they are. I want to be accurate. And so this is all part of that project, and that's why I'm here. And sorry, and I know I talked a lot, but the other thing, I speak to Pierre about this quite a bit, and he's like, I think there's a personal thing here as well, possibly with your disability and, a challenge in overcoming that. And you that could be part of it. Sometimes I think, this is going to be the last big thing I do, because I don't know how long I'm going to be able to kind of properly walk for. Not that I can properly walk, it only kind of goes downhill from here. So there could be a personal element to that. I don't think that's what was driving me, but that's an interesting part of the narrative anyway.
Johnny?
Yes?
You're coming back.
Yeah. And I also, there's been conversations with many people today. I was like saying, there's chap Anton at the restaurant we met. I was like, and we got halfway through this quite like sort of heated debate, not heated debate, but like we had things to say.
Intense.
Yeah, intense debate. And then Ross came along and joined in, who's this kind of Australian who's teaching in Kyiv. And he came and joined because I said where we were going to be, and he's, as a viewer, just came and joined us. And then that got stopped. And so I sent to Anton later, we got to finish that debate. It's like, next time we're going to have to sit down with a whiskey and talk this thing through. I was like, that sounds like my kind of thing. And there's so many things I haven't done that I wanted to do, and yet we've achieved so much. It's we do an awful lot. We've done an awful lot of traveling, and it would be, I guess, that if I came again. That's not the nature of the thing with Greg. You've got to keep moving, but I guess in a perfect world, at either end of that, it'd be like a few days in Kyiv, or do you know what I mean? Like a few days here, or something like that.
We had an intention this time to push you to every frontline position we could. That was the intention, and we put down 4,000 kilometers. Or probably more actually, but 4,000 minimum in this time. And I know you have an early, tomorrow's your travel day, and or the beginning of your travel day, and that's okay. And I'm going to miss you. I'm going to miss, just so much interaction, and I've learned an incredible amount from you. And I think we've learned from each other, and we've been able to see, man, there's actually quite a bit we agree on, and it's beautiful.
Yeah.
And it's really been a wonderful experience. I think maybe, for those of you that are here, especially you're on Johnny's channel, we've done so much over the last few days that we haven't even shown yet that you will be seeing, because we remember we wait for OPSEC and for safety, because some of these places we go, it's very dangerous, and we want to make sure the families that we're working with or the soldiers we're working with are secure. You're going to be seeing all of this video. I'll be putting up on my channel. I share everything with Johnny, whatever he wants. Johnny wants to mirror stuff. He goes, hey, mate, may I mirror that video? I said, Johnny, if you ever ask me again, I'm just going to cap you in the eye. You have full permission. Never ask me that again. We're on the same team. So, I think it comes down to, I'm gonna miss you. I'm here for quite a while longer, running nonstop, and it's been very good. I guess the best question would be to ask Johnny is could you give everybody watching tonight 2 or 3 things that impacted you the most? That's not for me to answer tonight. It's you. I'm staying.
Yeah. And before I answer that question, just this is an interesting statement from Kay Bell here, and I've been asked this question today a number of times, which is, what have you thought about your trip? And I keep saying I've really enjoyed it. And then I have to catch myself to say enjoyed is probably the wrong word, because I don't know, but it isn't as well. So it's difficult to talk about enjoying something when you're in war zones, seeing death I haven't seen death, but being near death, well, probably hearing death. When you sit and hear explosions, every explosion is potentially the death of human beings. And you're sitting in Kherson for 2 nights in a row and hearing these explosions go over and over. And when you see like destroyed houses and communities, it's pulled apart. And when you see, minefields that are still active, it's not enjoyment. But then when you have that camaraderie in a car and at the times we spend with each other and when we're eating together, there is definite enjoyment there. And so it's one of these weird situations. I think probably the best word is rewarding. I've just found it very rewarding and giving me an insight into Ukraine. I guess to answer Greg's question, like I said last night, I think the one realization is that things are much more challenging on the front lines for the Ukrainians than I probably realized. And it all makes sense. But it's just, things are probably a little more urgent than I give them credit for being. There was one thing I found interesting. It's not so much about learning anything for me or any kind of greater understanding, but one thing I really appreciated is the power of networking. And when you're talking about humanitarians doing, or volunteers, I think it's a better word here, doing what, say, Greg and Zhenya do. And I was watching one of his videos where he's montaged different units that they provided assistance to. And he gets, Vadim from one of the units was saying, our success is 50%, 50% us and 50% volunteers. And you're like, wow, the incredibly important role that guys like Greg and Zhenya provide for the units. And they are, one of many setups that do this. We had a meal today with people who are providing IFACs, like aid kits as well. So there are lots of people involved in this kind of stuff, but it's incredibly important. And in order to do that well, and I think Zhenya and Greg do this really, really well, it's all about networking, and it's that way of you can sit and watch them operate as they go about their work of talking to troops and just starting conversations, or it might start with a little, hi. So today is a great example, Greg. We were filling up at a petrol station.
At petrol, okay, petrol.
Sorry, gas station. If I had to be like a bit,
Yeah, I know, uncivilized. I got you.
Yeah, I've had to devalue my language.
Yes.
So we're at this gas station, and we were there, getting a coffee, and then this, pickup truck and a van pull up, and a bunch of guys in a different uniform come in. And as they were approaching, I was like, Greg, Zhenya, what are these guys? They don't look like army guys particularly. They've got like a dark blue uniform, and they actually look pretty proper. They were very clean actually. And they walked in, and Greg's like, or Jenny was like, "Oh, those are deminers." And they walked in. No, first of all, he said, "Oh, I think they're from Khmelnytsky," which is where.
No, I said, yeah, it was written. I could see it written plainly. It said, "Johnny, they're from our home city, Khmelnytsky."
Yeah,
yeah.
and then so they walked in, and then Zhenya, obviously,
Okay, but hold on. We are at that point
not near Khmelnytsky for a start.
300 kilometers minimum from Khmelnytsky.
Yeah, minimum. So there is nothing to do with Khmelnytsky. We're nowhere near that. And these guys walk in, they've got Khmelnytsky on their badges and whatnot, and they're deminers. And they walk in, and then Zhenya starts talking to them, and it turns out, in Ukrainian, it turns out Zhenya was like, "Oh, you're these guys," or they say, "Oh, we're these guys," and Zhenya goes, "Oh, do you know this guy?" And they're like, "Yeah, that's our boss." And it's like, "Yeah, that's my mate. I taught him as a kid," or something like that. And it's just like
it was five sappers, 5 deminers, and they were coming back. They had been down on the
in Kharkiv, I think.
No, I thought Kharkiv, but they were actually in Berislav, which is right on the bank of the river, right down from Nikopol. And I saw the Khmelnytsky sign, and then we see that I was showing Johnny the mining patch on their arms and their official stuff. And Zhenya walks up to him and goes, "Hey, you guys know Anton?" And they go, "Well," and Zhenya was playing with them. "Well, of course we know Anton. He's our commander." Zhenya goes, "Yeah, he's my buddy. I taught him in school." And like went, "Oh, okay, respect to you." And then boom. Next thing you know, Johnny's in their car.
Getting like this, I'm like I'm a 5-year-old at some kind of Disney theme park. It's like, get little Johnny in the car. So I'm in the car, like with, and it's a pristine vehicle actually. They must have just given it a right good clean, and it is a good, nice bit of kit, really beautifully, decked out in all the colours of their demining outfit. And now I'm there sitting like some kind of cheesy tourist type thing, but of course I'm not. But there's a serious element to this, and but what this is just a form of networking. So it had. I don't know whether they're the sort of people that Greg and Zhenya could support in terms of. I'm sure that, it is coming. So there is something. Yeah. So I'm not the sort of, don't think that demining's a sort of. It's more about these units on the front line. But it turns out that actually, I think they're now going to be helping them with a bleeding metal detector. So
they need a metal detector. So all of our communities together, we'll be procuring that immediately and getting it right to these guys. We'll show you video of it. They'll definitely go on camera with me. And you'll see that metal detector placed right in their hands. And it came from a chance meeting at a gas station with we recognized our city code, deminer, and Zhenya walks up to him and goes, "I know your commander." They're getting a metal detector. That's how it works.
Yeah. And it's not something you can plan either. This is a kind of like an emergent thing, or it's just opportunistic actually very many times. And then that relationship can, if all things are right, flourish, and you can end up having a more formal kind of support mechanism in place that goes over time, or it might just be a one-off metal detector, and that's what they need, and then life goes on and you find other people to help. So it's incredible watching that in action, and I was really appreciative of the way you guys go about doing that.
Johnny, so I see Rick in here and the Ukrainian talking, and Rick, so you were talking about the camaraderie in the community. It's just amazing. So if you will play that video right there, you guys tonight will get a sense of that camaraderie and maybe a little bit of the raccoon.
Is it this one?
Yep,
here?
Perfect.
Okay, I'm here. Okay.
So,
okay,
pause it right there.
Yeah, it has been really positive for that.
Can you pause it?
And hopefully, sorry, I'm being here. I was away with the fairies there.
No problem. All right, back it up. Now, You're going to see myself, Zhenya, you see Rick right there, you see Pierre, you see Johnny. But what you're going to hear is Dr. Gertis had called me and we were doing stuff. So I gave the phone to Johnny. So all of these guys working together are really at the same spot at the same time. So that's what's happening. So watch this.
Really positive for that, and hopefully, because the whole point about being here is to make sure that it matters and that things improve and that people are giving greater concern for what's going on. And so I hope
We have the
we've done
puppet
that.
master here. No, actually, that's a real raccoon, guys.
Thank you. I really appreciate that, Darren.
So
how are you?
the point being, guys, this is and first I gave the phone to Rick to talk to Dr. Gertis. We're one team. It's not just.
And what's interesting there is that was networking. So I'm talking to Dr. Gertis about stuff, and meanwhile you got Rick, the Ukrainian, there. So there's some networking going on. But actually next to him is Anton, and then his wife Galina, and they are, as mentioned, involved in putting together IFAC. So which are what does IFAC stand for? First aid kits.
I don't know exactly. I don't want to get it wrong, but it's the first aid kit that we give the soldiers.
Yeah, it's just
and because somebody will mash me, my military guys will mash me. Somebody will put it in the chat.
Yeah, so it is a military, I think, a tactical IFAC. I don't know what I stands for, but someone.
International No, that's international. Hold on.
Individual.
Yeah. First aid.
Individual first aid kit. So yes.
Yeah. Thank you.
And they are very particular for the military, and they need particular things. And Galina, I think, is involved in putting them together and providing whole IFACs for units or for soldiers and whatever. And that at that meal, we were all talking, and it was all very enjoyable, if you like. You're having a meal with friends, you're meeting new people, but that meal served a purpose. So there was a purpose in Rick and us getting together to talk about stuff, to debrief and all that. And then you guys then went to the car park to swap, individual pieces of IFAC kit with these two and talk about what's the best stuff and can you help us get this and that. And it looks like you guys might have some kind of connection to working together
that's
with
going to
IFAC.
happen. So. That's going to happen. And in fact, if you noticed, when we came out, we were just looking over the IFAC and how they like to pack it. She's a medical doctor. And I think she said,
she's a medical doctor, right?
She's a medical doctor. Yes. Yeah. So they've given over 1,500 IFACs. And Rick supports them through his channel, like in a very heavy way. So a lot of you guys out here that are also a part of Rick's community and you're donating through Rick, he's supporting them. I mean, it's just unbelievable when you start peeling back the layers, how interconnected and how helpful everyone is together. So that is amazing. And yes, we were already helping. Jania, I said, man, get them some stuff out of the back of the truck. And he was giving them some stuff. And it's just beginning. So we will help.
Yeah, Rick the Ukrainian says, yes, I was lucky to have a Valentine's Day dinner together with these two legends today. Absolutely, mate. Smith here says, still standing with the Ukraine, never going to stop. I just want to start singing Rick Astley, never going to give you up. But I think that's a bit of Rick rolling, which I think Rick the Ukrainian will like. So yeah, it's all about working together to make a more efficient and effective way of supporting troops in so many different ways. And what I like about what Greg and Jenny do is they help with everything. There's nothing really. I mean, the other day I've already talked about how amazing Jenny is at multitasking and sorting this out, and we're like, okay, we need to go from here to there. But first of all, I've just found out we've got to go to this kind of post office place because there are these two big stoves that I need to pay for so that they can be put in the back of a van and sent to a unit so that they can, is it to fix cars, repair cars?
So they were going to remember, I think something else that's probably a major marker for you. There's been so much stuff that's happened in 10 days. It's just, you can't even fathom it. But remember, you were sitting in a cafe down on the southern front, and yes, Ricochet, I see you in there. All OPSEC is good. But you were down there and you were talking to Oleg, and the naval Soviet guy. It was to him and his part of our team that repairs soldiers' vehicles for the front nonstop.
Yeah, and I do believe, is it for those people that you've got the tent in Poland that you
Same
need?
crew.
So and this is the the variety of the stuff that these guys, and I'm not just here to like say how wonderful Greg and Zhenya are for doing what they do. I mean, that should be self-evident. But it's great that there's this variety of things. It's like, we need X, and Greg and Zhenya go, well, how do we go about getting X? And so there's no kind of thing that they can't do, or do you know what I mean? And so there's this big tent, like not just a 2-man tent to go and camp out for the night at a weekend. This is a big tent that you can fix cars under. But that's now stuck in Poland, and Greg and Zhenya are desperate to find a way. So if anyone's watching this,
no, we got it. We got it.
Have you got it? Have you got it done now? So there you go. Then already that's
the crew that's picking you up and delivering you to Warsaw is the crew that's getting the tent to us. It's already a done deal. We got it solved. So basically, what you have, Johnny, is a volunteer, a hero, fixing soldiers' cars every day, in the rain, in the snow, in the mud, with no cover, and they do it every day. So he came to us and says, is there any way we could get any kind of cover, any kind of something? So due to the generosity of all of these communities together, yours, Prof. Gertis, Rick's, mine, and others that are joining, and because many of you have donated for specific things, others of you have donated large money for like, okay, find a need and get it there. We'll be watching the videos. We trust you. You're there. Okay. You're not the Red Cross. You're there. So you guys, all of these communities together, we have purchased not just a tent, but basically a portable garage, and it's made with this tent system and this pole system, and you can put a heating system in it. So not only is this volunteer servicing vehicles now going to have a tent, but he's also going to have a heater in it, so he's not freezing to death while he's repairing the heroes' vehicles. So it's a beautiful story.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, fantastic. And I have to say, someone's asked about this, and I was going to contact a JR about this. So did Rick bring the flag JR won at the auction last Sunday? So I was going to get a flag for JR myself. I've finally, on the last day, managed to secure some flags. This is about the only thing I did buy apart from this mug. But actually, we were all signing a flag for JR today.
Yep,
so,
done deal.
So he will get that. And that will save me trying to get signatures off these guys at 5 a.m. tomorrow morning, which ain't gonna happen. But it's just one of those things where I've run out of time to do a whole bunch of the things I wanted to do, like little things like go and buy stuff for people and whatever. So massive apologies.
Would you mind putting up Pierre's comment, please? He's been a legend.
I've missed that. So I was just looking at another thing.
1049.
Thank
you.
So, and I have to give out a special mention to Pierre, because the guy,
no question,
in my, I'm going to get emotional. You read it.
I'm happy you came to Ukraine. Now you're going to make me get emotional. Greg and Zhenya, it's been a privilege to see what you guys achieve. I have so much love and respect for you all, and I will miss you for a few hours at least, UA. And that is because Pierre planned his return to Ukraine as a volunteer in conjunction with Johnny's trip. Pierre has been like Johnny's shadow, camera, filming. I know he's called a tippling philosopher. I call him a tip over philosopher. Because he likes to tip over.
I'm a toppling philosopher.
Oh yeah, toppling. It's a toppling, not a tippling. So and Pierre, there with him, grabbing bags, just serving. So I have nothing but kudos for Pierre. Uh, you know,
Absolutely.
and he will be going back to Kramatorsk. That's his base city where he helps. And then Zhenya and I, when we make our circles, we go through Kramatorsk about every 9, 10 days. We will be stopping by, giving Pierre a hug, getting a coffee, and we've made that connection with his group there, us
Yeah,
here.
and
It's
and
just
actually that's something I would love to see come to fruition, because what happened, we were in Kramatorsk, and there's a guy so at base UA, and I've interviewed Anton, who's kind of one of the main guys there, and that's who Pierre works with or for, or however it is, volunteers with. And Anton was talking about a guy that used to help there but's joined the army and is now making drones in kind of in his spare time, I think, as being a drone operator. And it seemed like a really good thing to put Anton and Greg and Zhenya in a room together to, like, I don't know if it's a case of helping each other or advice from one to the other or something, but I'm sure it would have been useful networking. So we decided Anton had to go at 4:30 in the morning because, volunteers had to go and do crazy things and drive a medical truck up to a hospital and then sort out a hospital clinic for doctors. So people who haven't seen doctors in 2 years can come and get doctor's appointment under the hospital. And then there was a 20 meters from the hospital, a grad rocket like impaled into the ground there. And that's life in Seversk, right? But we changed our plans, and I've said this before, but we changed our plans and decided to go to Seversk so that in a bit of downtime for Anton, he can meet Zhenya and Greg, and minds could come together. And networking, this was all about networking. But unfortunately, because it was a real last minute thing to do, and we hadn't therefore got the correct paperwork, we're just kind of like, we should be able to get through the checkpoint, it should be fine. But they've tightened the checkpoint there, particularly the Le Mans checkpoint has been tightened for some whatever reason it is, and as a result we were just unable to get through. We just didn't have the right paperwork or whatever, so we had to.
Well, we could have got it. We could have went to Kramatorsk and got it in 1 minute, but we just didn't have time. So
Yeah.
When we go back through the next loop, we will be with Pierre and we will be with Anton.
And what's, I guess, particularly poignant today is that we were in the middle of eating this meal and it's interesting when you go to Kyiv, and Kyiv now seems just like a lovely, normal capital city, very cosmopolitan, very, capital city-ish, right? And a couple of days ago, we were in Kherson, which is a complete ghost town, half destroyed, that has so many stories to tell. And in fact, you can go from Kherson to Mykolaiv, and these are two different places, and they're only an hour or so away from each other, hour and a half away. And yet, one is, okay, Mykolaiv does get hit, and it is, it's not crazy safe there, but already it feels like a different place. You can go to a coffee shop and have this experience of being in a major city. And Kherson is like, you ain't doing that in a hurry. You're lucky if you find a coffee shop that's open, and it's all about, ooh. But anyway, we were in this restaurant today, a well-to-do restaurant in Kyiv, because we're meeting each other and having this nice time. And Pierre gets a call, he gets some messages on his phone, and he's like, guys, I just had to get this off my chest, but Kramatorsk has just been hit. And it's just been hit, but right next to the humanitarian center where our guys sleep, where I slept, like just a week ago, right? And he said all of them have gone underground. They're safe. No one's been hit, but it looks like, and we're trying to put two and two together, but it looks like they're using glide bombs. I don't know if it's a glide bomb, but Kramatorsk would be odd to be. It just hasn't been hit like that, especially where that center, where that house is. It's out of the way. There's no strategic value in hitting anywhere like that, and yet they're hitting somewhere like that. And it's just a stark reminder that here we are sitting in a nice restaurant enjoying ourselves, and then humanitarian workers are there, not even on the front line, some way back from the front line, and being hammered by massive munitions. It's like, that sucks. That just sucks. Mm-hmm. And today in Kherson was hit today, and you're looking at the footage of Kherson and places where we were driving just yesterday. and I think it was, goodness me, time has merged. But
Yeah.
and then we have this conversation like, well, what are they aiming for? Well, nothing. There's nothing of strategic value inside Kherson. It's one of these places where actually I've seen the fewest military people. In fact, I don't think I saw any military people in Kherson, which is really odd because military are everywhere in all these different places. But Kherson, they're not. So when Kherson gets hit by the Russians, it is terrorism. The only explanation for things landing in Kherson is to terrorize the population to move them out of that place. There is no other conceivable reason they would be randomly slinging munitions into that already half destroyed ghost town.
Unless this war is stopped and ended with a victory, Kherson will look like Bakhmut. I'm just telling you, it will look like Bakhmut. It will keep going every day until they level it. That was the plan. They came in, they occupied it for months and months and months. They made sure they had all their evaluations right, their mappings right, the collaborators right. They were pushed back on that offensive and they retreated back across the river. And that very day, I said on my stream, they will now level Kherson, and it's being leveled step by step. There is a question in the chat from a longtime viewer of mine, and others are asking for that question to be answered as well. His name is Ricochet. And I want to ask you, Johnny, a question for Johnny. Has your trip to Ukraine impacted your life?
I've got it starred actually. So it was going to come up. So
okay, good. Yep.
Has your trip impacted your life? It's difficult to say now, I guess, because I'm here, right? And I'm having all these moments. And look, I just got emotional, and I could say yes, it's definitely impacted my life. But I guess it'll be an interesting question to ask in 2 weeks' time, in 6 months' time, in a year's time. What I guess it's told me is that, especially with the right connections and the right thoughtful organization, many things are possible that you might have thought were not possible before. And that's important. That's important for me personally, I guess. This, I guess, sums it up, in a great way. I'm going to get emotional again. AJ Simo, and thanks obviously for the super chat, really, really generous. Christians, atheists, hello, and Christians, lefties, hello, and righties,
hello,
Brits, hello, and Americans,
hello.
French. I mean, Pierre's a funny one. He's British, but he's
as French as they get. He may be a Brit, but he's
not.
He's a Frenchie.
He admits to me that he's not very good at speaking French either. So, he's a Brit. I class him as a Brit, but he lives in France and has done for a long time. And I think his dad's French. Anyway, so Brits, Americans, French, Ukrainians, all united as a team. Something beautiful there. Keep it up, guys. Yes, and that's that. So that's an impact for me. This is like, I write for a secular organization, right? So I write articles for Only Sky, which is a secular organization that is all about trying to give a voice for people who don't believe in God, right? And that's important. And I'm very staunch in my beliefs that I think of very well thought through and been thought through for many a long year. So I would disagree vehemently with Greg and Zhenya on a whole bunch of very existential things. But and we talked about this so many times, but again, to reach across the aisle, and I really appreciate Greg and Zhenya for actually, I see them do their Christian things and the things that are really important to them, and obviously that's not something I would do, but it's fine to be who we want to be in this shared area.
It's called respect.
Yeah, and that's it. And the fact that we can also laugh about and accept each other in a very open way, I think really healthy.
I think this is the perfect time to show this, if you don't mind. There you go.
Is this going to be another form of entrapment?
I think this is the perfect time to show this.
Every day I get it's just entrapment.
It's okay. You're leaving tomorrow. Traveling a lot today, getting back to the beautiful city of Kyiv, where we'll have another evening, have dinner with Rick the Ukrainian. Johnny's going to see some of the most important things in regard to the war here. But right now, Johnny is traveling through the city of in Ukraine called Bielotserkva. So, Johnny, what do you think of Bielotserkva? Beautiful city here. Over to the left.
It looks lovely.
It looks lovely, doesn't it? And the roads.
The roads. I've just been bouncing up and down like I was on a bouncy castle.
Right.
But I'm now rather happy as I'm trying to write an article.
It's smooth here.
That we are now smooth.
Smooth in Bielotserkva. So we love Bielotserkva, don't we?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, we love Bielotserkva. And so, guess what Bielotserkva translates to, Johnny? White church. You love white church.
So much I could say. And probably shouldn't.
Once again, the battle continues. That was pretty good, wasn't it?
Nice trip.
Shock Imat. Entrapment, yes, 100%.
Absolute entrapment, and they get great joy out of this. And if nothing else, I like to give people I'm with great joy in even if I am the victim of these wicked ways of trying to get me turn me 180. But yeah, no, and it's great. It's just like wonderful camaraderie, and we have our differences, and we are joined by this common goal. And I think that has been touching and gives me hope. And this sounds almost too grandiose, but it gives me hope for humanity. Like when I look at and sorry to bring it back to US politics, when I look at US politics and see an inability to reach across the aisle and work together for a common goal of like making the world a better place or making your country better or whatever, like if we fail to see past our differences, to recognize our similarities, then we fail to be a decent functioning human being. So, you know, that's my tuppence there. Would I know there's so much more to say about how this has impacted me, and I guess it will all come out in the wash, and many ways, and of course with my continuing desire to see this the outcome here be as positive as possible, obviously. Also, like the ideas, as it's been hinted at already, and several times today, people are like, well, that means you just got to come out here again, and I'm thinking, really, like. And I think, well, it's quite doable, although it's doable by me relying heavily on others. I have to say, like Greg and Zhenya and Pierre are so thoughtful and considerate in the way that they allow me to do what I've done. So, you know,
we got your back, buddy.
Yeah,
listen,
exactly.
It's very simple. We highly respect you. And every soldier you visited, and we were honored to take you to, highly respects you. You were given some gifts that nobody gets without respect. And I'm talking about multiple times, multiple places. If they didn't want you around, you wouldn't get a gift, I promise you. And secondly, the quality of gifts you received I hope show you the care and the love, because listen to me, you don't understand Russian or Ukrainian, and you know my Ukrainian's kind of pitiful, but my Russian's pretty good, and all the soldiers speak to me in Russian, no problem. And it happened multiple times that we're there with soldiers on the front lines, and they would walk up to me because I know them, and they would lean over and whisper in my ear, and they would say this: I didn't know he was an invalid. That's what they would say. That man has my respect for coming here.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, and this leads to the question. Steffi Zweit-Conto says, what do you take as your best, most precious memory from your trip? And I guess it would be those moments where you receive these incredibly thoughtful gifts from people, like the knife that I have, and I hope to goodness that doesn't get confiscated off me. Otherwise, but you know, that knife, and someone has held that for 20 years and been part of them. You know, I can't think of anything more. You know, as a fighting soldier, that knife, I can't think of anything more that he would have about him. Like, in terms of his equipment that would be more precious to him. So for him to give that is insanely generous. And this, I was given a, I've already explained this last night in the stream, but a picture that Greg was given. And then, you know, we had the time we met this unit and they presented him with this picture that had been handmade by one of the guys, Mario. And that was all wonderful. And we said our goodbyes. And then we went to get a coffee with this old former Soviet submariner and do a bit of an interview. But the interview was a bit of a time filler, I believe, in order that they could quickly rustle up another one of these pictures and get that to me and give that to me in the cafe. And they were just waiting for that to get there. And that was incredibly thoughtful as well. And even simple things like that, Oleg, that Soviet submariner, that, you know, when he rips off the patch and he gives that to you, you know that there's a special moment there of like someone, you know, appreciating that you're being here and doing stuff. And, you know, and then I, of course, you know, wonder, like, what am I doing? Is this, do I warrant any of this? Like, and so it is now up to me to just kind of earn that kindness back in fighting the battles in the information space where these guys are fighting the battles on the landscapes of Ukraine.
The gentleman that gave Johnny the knife, so you remember where he was fighting and he just gotten back?
Yes, so he had been at Marinka.
Yes.
Which is, you know, pretty challenging there in a moment. To say the least.
So he gave Johnny the knife. He gave me the jacket right off his back. Now, I need to tell you guys, just so you understand, you say, well, Greg, you're there giving jackets. How could you take that jacket? There are certain times that there is such a respect that you have to, okay? Because I looked at Zhenya and he says, no. This situation, you take it. This man wore this in battle. And now I'm wearing it. I was wearing it around Kyiv today. And yes, we communicate, we talk. In fact, he sent us pictures today. He got married today while he's home on break for a few days. He got married today, and we're connected. We take care of him, whatever he needs, and I'll even get him a better jacket. But I'm telling you, it's just unbelievable, and it's crazy. Yeah. Crazy. They're so grateful. They're so grateful.
Can I just do a bunch of super chats? So
please do it.
Thank you, Lawrence22, as ever, like insanely generous. 5 memberships. That's really kind of you. Paul Gilbert, please enable membership gifting for iPad. It can be done. I need to look into that. I don't know what I need to do, what the issue is, but yes, I will.
We were discussing that today because I had a lot of people on my chat last night. Yes, Lawrence, I will wear it with pride, and I do. But I had saying, Greg, you need to do this membership. We just want to be able to do some gifts and do different things and get an icon. I go, okay, I'm pretty high tech and can edit some video, but I don't have a clue what you're talking about. So today, Johnny and I were talking about it. So we got to up our game a little bit, buddy.
Yeah. Has it been 10 days already, says Tezzy, a member of the month? Yes. I mean, goodness me. Time has really flown. Thank you so much, AJ Simo, who's incredibly generous. Thank you. Lawrence22, congratulations to Vinky for reaching his 1-year milestone of being a member here. So thanks very much. And Steve A, who's an incredible supporter, always commenting every day, really positive stuff. Gifted 5 ATP memberships. Gives us a little rhyming piece in the morning quite often. So thanks for that. A few more. So Mr. Lion Dust, thank you so much for stuff. Big fan of stuff. As a word, it just does the job for everything. So yeah, there's going to be stuff going to these guys out here for sure. Richard Bennett gifted 5 ATP memberships. Thank you so much to you. Kathy's guest, thank you, Kathy, for that super sticker, very kind. And Mr. Lion Dust became a YouTube member here, so thanks for that. Now,
I need to say this. No, go ahead. Go ahead, David
So
L.
just there's a couple of David L ones that I am quite blown
Mhm.
away at. So please put this towards stuff the Ukrainian heroes need. And then David L says for equipment for the heroes. Like it's $200 and $50. That's incredibly generous.
Yeah,
And I
thank you.
will
Thank
be
you.
I'm going to be putting a bunch Greg's way, and so this is all really helpful. So thank you. And
Thank you.
just I think just two more. Mertzi says, "God bless all of you, except for Jonathan. You're an atheist." Just kidding. Take care of yourself, Slava Ukraini. Yeah, absolutely. I'll take that. I'll tell you what. The constellations above are shining on me, and these good people here. So I'll take that. Yeah.
Do I
Just a
know
quick.
the Dutch guys that fried chips and hand them out for free around Kramatorsk and Le Mans? I do not, but now that you have enlightened me, all I got to do is get to Kramatorsk or Le Mans and ask a guy, where are the Dutch guys making the fried chips? And
They are famous. They are famous. So
Okay, I'll find them.
there have been articles written on them. I originally thought they were actually in Kyiv, but obviously not. But yeah, I wonder if Pierre. So Pierre's probably the man to ask about that because he's Kramatorsk based most of the time. But yeah, and thank you for that, Da Vinci. That's really kind. So thanks to all of the super chats. It's been really, really generous of you. What were you going to say, mate?
I'm just watching the chat. I'm enjoying. We've went so hard, guys, for 10 days. It's crazy. But I just saw somebody say it might have been Nick Owen. Actually, I'm trying to remember. My brain's zapped out right now.
This is persecution. I'm getting persecution.
Maybe persecution, but invalids are still valid or something. She said. So yeah, Johnny's the toppling philosopher, and I'm the one-handed preacher. So hey,
yeah.
Although I did drop the piano on you, buddy.
Yeah. So that I watched. No, I watched it on Genius today, didn't I? I wish. So there's so much footage that I have, and actually, I'm just trying to see if I've got it here. No, I have very little on my phone. I've been using my camera. So someone has actually asked me this question. Which is, have you taken many pictures and videos? Are you going to be putting together video composition of your trip? Did you manage to work camera off autofocus mode? So I am not an amazing photographer. I've got myself a digital SLR that I brought out here. Pierre's got a bigger one than I have. It has to be said. But you gotta just deal with what you got, what you're given, or something. So anyway, Pierre's been walking around showing off with his big one and just taking photos all over the shop. Now, there's going to be an awful lot of rain, so there's a lot of driving and bumping around. I'll tell you what, the roads in Ukraine are not conducive for decent photographs. But so there's all that going on. There's different lights going on. The light's actually been fairly bad in Ukraine in general. The weather's been quite dull. Today, right, we get into Kyiv, and I'm like, oh, let's get some beautiful shots out the window here. And you've got the statue, the mother of the motherland statue, the one that they changed with the sword and the thingy, right?
That's right. Yeah.
And it skews the inappropriate language here, but Pierre affectionately calls her Tin Tits, because she has like a metal breastplate there. So I thought that was quite interesting term. Anyway, so I think there's a perfect opportunity for some photos. It's so foggy in Kyiv when we get here, you literally couldn't see the statue driving past the bit where it's just next to the statue. You couldn't see it. You couldn't see it at all. I'm like, what are the chances? Like we could see, I got her feet, I think, like coming around that side, and then the fog got worse and she disappeared. I'm like, oh, thanks a lot for that. So anyway, we have a whole load of photography and imagery and videos, and I am planning on turning it into either one or two, or I don't know how many episodes. I am not an expert, right? And so I don't know the quality of the stuff we have. There is some good stuff in there. The question is, what am I going to turn it into, given that it can't really be topical news-based stuff, because by the time I've edited anything together, it's going to be weeks down the line. So this might have to be a personal journey kind of thing. I don't know what narrative when I write articles, I'm almost finished on an article today about our experiences in Kherson. Sorry, Greg, I've done a lot of talking.
No, it's beautiful.
How unusual. And when I start writing articles, sometimes I know what article I'm going to write, and I'd sit down and I'd write that article with that intention. But sometimes, like, like today, I thought I fancy writing an article about experiences in Kherson. And then as you write it, things emerge and come together, and narratives just starts talking to you, and you're like, that's where this is going, right? And I love the process of writing and then you start linking back and going, right, I'm going to go back and add that paragraph in there because now I get this. And this is like an emergent thing. And so I imagine that when I sit down and put footage together, it might be some kind of emergent thing where I don't really know where it's going to begin with. But then it kind of, as I put stuff together, there's a clarity of narrative that pops out, and it might have to be something personal to do with disability and Ukraine. And obviously Ukraine is the central thing, but in order for it not to be topical, there might have to be a personal element to it, which is kind of more timeless. Anyway, hopefully that makes
Listen, I've lost it. I've got people buying coffees and they're just saying, help Ukraine. Paul, thank you, sir. And then I'll reply to everybody. I'm laughing because, first of all, Rick, I saw your message. You'll connect me with those guys. Thank you. What's going on with the Republican Party? It's a disaster. But when Johnny's telling these stories, guys, you have to understand, I'm picturing him, and I was losing it here in my mind. He has his window down. It's snowing, and the wind is cold, and he's got his camera out the window, and the road is shaking. And this is what he says. I can't get the daggone finger to push the button. He's not going down.
Because I can't feel my fingers because of MS. So I'm like pressing to it, and it turns out I'm not pressing anything. I'm like, there's a scene that's gone. So most
but
people,
it's reality.
When they use remote controls at home, like you don't look at your remote control, you just feel your fingers or thumbs around a remote control because you know where the buttons are. With me, I have to look at the remote control every time I want to press something because I can't feel my fingers. And so just simple things like that is just really difficult and annoying. And the amount of pictures I haven't taken because I've been like pressing some random bit of the camera.
Desaid was just telling a joke here. He's been a long time supporter of my channel, and he was saying two Brits, a Brit, an American, and a Ukrainian walk into a bar in Kyiv, and Ukrainian walks out with stuff or something. I don't know. It was kind of what we were talking about doing. It was really good.
Oh, we didn't do that. This is why I'm going to have to come back.
You got to go. Oh, did you guys hear it? He's coming back.
Yeah, it's like my joke of like a liberal atheist philosopher, a British philosopher, and a Christian American Republican pastor, and a British humanitarian aid walker walk into a bar. And it's not really a joke. It's kind of a nice little thing. And the barman goes, "Thanks so much for coming to help us," or something like that. And I was thought that's all. And we're supposed to film a barman doing that. And goodness me, we've not done that anyway.
Yeah.
Kathy's guest, thank you. Great job, guys. But I still want to buy an FU Russian ship T-shirt aligned to this. So yeah, I might have to think about that and get some merch out like that. And Paul Gilbert, thank you very much for your super sticker. It's incredibly generous of you.
Really yes, thank you, everybody. Thank you. Now, I want to say this before we hop off of here.
Yeah. You
have a early morning. First of all, we said, hey, we're going to do like a 20-minute quick update synopsis. I'm heading out of town, and here we are, an hour and 7 minutes still rolling. And
my viewers know that I always start videos going, well, it's going to be a quick one today because nothing much has happened on the front line. And like 35 minutes later, I've talked about nothing and everything. Anyway,
I want to just publicly say thank you. Thank you, Johnny. Thank you for coming. Thank you, Pierre. Thank you, Zhenya. Thank you to everybody in all of these communities, yours, mine, Prof. Gertis, Rick's, and others that have been a part of this, this special push to help the guys, and really equally to help you understand, so that in your analysis and your understanding, which is, I love it, you're able to now, when you're talking about a certain area, you go, ooh, I've been there. You now know that at the beginning of the loop road, which you'd have never known unless you were here, the Kharkiv sign stands, which is in the complete wrong place. All these things that will flood your mind when you're talking. Zhenya told you, Johnny, that when you get home and you begin to do your updates, not like here, but you're back in your normal schedule and you're doing your videos, and you're doing everything that you do. When you start to talk about that map now, it's going to be completely different for you because you've been here. So I want to say thank you for that. And then finally, I want to say I have a ton of emails, a ton of YouTube comments, a ton of everything to work through. But tomorrow we are delivering a vehicle to a group of military guys, and we've got to get that done. It's fine. It's being brought to us here now with another part of our team. That gets done. You guys will see that on video. You have helped do all of that. And then we go to Khmelnytsky. And for those of you that are in the chat right now or in the watching this later, I can tell you that officially the $78,000 of Amazon supplies that you guys purchased is in our warehouse. It arrived. Everything's perfect. It's being processed by our team, and we will hit the road delivering all of that stuff hand to hand to hand to hand. And I want to say thank you. So it'll take a couple of days for Janie and I to reset that. Of course, we have to put our truck back into service every time, make sure everything's right. Johnny knows how horrible the roads are. So we're safe when we're rolling around. I saw other comments. So all of those emails, YouTubes, everything, I will be responding to you. So thank you for the patience on that. And finally, I saw some comments in there about seatbelts. Johnny had his on most of the time when he could get it in the right button. And then
when you can't feel your hands trying to get the seatbelt on. Oh.
And then here in Ukraine, I know it's probably, we just have to agree to disagree on some things, but it's safer, especially when Janie and I are, just him and I, we go to like really stupid, crazy places, and you do not wear a seatbelt because there are times you may just have to jump out of your vehicle. So we're not going to be trying to jump out of a vehicle and grab that. And it's just a trade-off. It's a trade-off for safety, and it's a trade-off for if something goes sideways, I can get out of this daggone truck because the truck's the target, especially with drones. So that's the story behind that.
Yeah, absolutely, and perfectly valid. Just goodness me, right? I have to just do this. So incredibly generous with his band Swedish Love, Daniel Verstlund. Keep up the good work. Here's some dollars for stuff for Ukraine. Thank you so much. And I have the same problem, says Lawrence 22. In one hand, I can order 5 beers, and the other, not many. Obviously, the hand feeding problem issue there. And then Richard Demi, more stuff. Thank you, Richard. Very kind. And then one of yours there, Mr. Lion Dust, contributing to yours as well. That's really kind.
Thank you. Yes, thank you for that, Mr. Lion Dust. Now, there is one thing I want to say, Johnny, and we agreed on this. So Johnny's heading back home, and we'll get him there. But we're going to continue to do this like at least once a week, if not twice a week, because we are seeing all your guys' comments. And now it'll be different because Johnny's been here of, you like the interaction, you like the banter, you like we're opposites working together. We kind of float together well. So Johnny and I were talking about the truck today. At least once a week, we're going to do a live together and talk about all things Ukraine.
Yeah, and it's great to, like, these guys really do have some really incredible contacts as well, and so they do have a grasp as to what's going on. It's interesting today, listen to Avdiivka. For those of you who are concerned about Avdiivka, there is some good news that apparently a whole bunch of ammunition has got to Avdiivka, and not only that, so this is like joining the dots here. So the first bit of news came out today through contacts that Avdiivka has a whole bunch of ammunition, and I believe some HIMARS trucks as well, which is good because they previously only had one HIMARS to support the guys. Now they've got, I don't know how many, but some HIMARS and a whole bunch of ammunition. So that's good. And then what we heard later is that the Ukrainians have been hammering the Russian positions all day long. Now, that is good news because that is what they have been unable to do due to not having ammunition. So they've obviously got ammunition from somewhere eventually, and they brought as much as they could to Avdiivka, and that has been used forthwith. So that is really good news. I mean, that's the kind of information that I think is really useful, and you get with Greg. And well, with Zhenya,
I mean,
he's like,
and it's a bit, well, so I mean, honestly, guys, we're friends with a lot of these commanders. So, like personal, it'd be like you talking to your brother. So we're constantly messaging back and forth, securely, and they'll just say, way before it ever hits Twitter or news. Well, there's no news, but Telegram, social media, whatever. We already know. And that's because our guys there are telling us and saying, we know you're helping us. We want you to know what's really going on. And, we'll share everything we can at the right time and help support factually the wonderful information Johnny shares. That's always spot on.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and I guess it just remains for me to say, well, actually, first of all, thank you very much to Draker. I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name correctly, a bit of Welsh there. No hard feelings about Twickenham events. Good rugby reference there because England beat Wales in a rugby as one would expect. If all good things are supposed to happen eventually, then, England beating Wales is something that will happen. Johnny Christensen, keep up the good work. Love from Denmark. Thanks, mate. And I really appreciate that. Thank you. And when Greg just said, thanks to me, oh, goodness me, I have to keep saying thank you to other people. Harry O, Slava Ukraini, that's really kind of you. Thanks, mate. And absolutely. In fact, well, we say that in a little while, but sorry, I'm trying to get to the point of Greg's thanked me and he has nothing to thank me for. I am the one who needs to thank Greg for allowing me this opportunity, for facilitating it with Zhenya. Both of those two, they're inseparable as an entity. So when I talk about one, really, I'm talking about both, definitely. But also, massive shout out to Pierre again, for helping me out and he's such a good man. So thanks to all three of you for allowing me this opportunity. It's been incredible. And I have to say, I was like, I didn't know, I wanted to get you a gift, before I came out, but I didn't really know what to get you because you don't really know the setup and what's going on until you experience it. And now I get an idea of what you are. I'm gonna have to go back home and think of some kind of gift that will probably adorn the battle bus in some way that will show my appreciation for you guys. So it's going to be very early tomorrow when we leave. And
excuse me, it's going to be very early when you leave.
Yeah, all right.
I'm coming to give you a hug and a kiss from that bald forehead right now.
and then he's going to be sleeping like a baby. So it will come. My appreciation for you is endless, and so thank you. But I have no meaningful gift for you to show that appreciation. Just my words.
You being here.
Sorry about that.
You being here was all we needed, buddy.
My presence is a present.
Your presence, yes.
That's words. Gotta love them. So anyway, that's enough nonsense from me. And this is something we've been talking about, by the way. So patches, our own patches, is something that definitely is on the
You have learned the power of the patch in Ukraine.
Power of the patch. Oh yeah. Folk show. Anyway, look, thank you, Greg and Zhenya, obviously. Thanks, Pierre. And thank you, team, that has allowed with your incredibly generous super chats. That has allowed me to be here to experience this and to continue to support the work of these guys. And just incredibly honored to have such an amazing team of supporters in this YouTube community. It's just wonderful people, and it's like YouTube community or YouTube channels are often like cesspits of like rabid commenters splurging their nonsense, but actually that's just not the case at mine. By and large, an incredible bunch of people. So thank you.
All of these communities together, it's I use the word of family, and that's just the way it is. People in here chatting, talking. They're they can be on the other side of the world, but they know we're on the same team, and that's the beauty of it. So Johnny,
nice one.
Yeah. You know, I'll just leave it at this. You're the dog's bollocks, man.
Brilliant. Yes, right back at you, mate. Look, I can't top that, so I won't even try. But look, thanks, mate.
All right, this is your last one for being in Ukraine. We'll do more when you're back in the UK. So you want the first one or the second one?
I'll go for the second again. Like I need to practice.
I think that's what you do. Okay, here we go. Slava Ukraina.
Heroin Slava.
Do peremога. Until victory. Thank you, Johnny. Good night, everybody.
Dobre.
Добрый. Точно.
Dobre večer.
Да, очень хорошо говорит украинский язык.
Hey, check us out. Bye, guys.
Bye.